Have you ever felt like a fraud? Have you ever felt that you're not as good as people say you are? Have you felt that people are going to figure out that you're not that good at what you do? Because I have, for majority of my life in fact. I make beats for fun, and after I spend hours on a beat, I'll meet a friend who I'll call Enoch and ask him to listen to it. Most times, Enoch said, "This beat is freaking fire, bro." And when a normal person hears that compliment, he's supposed to be happy. But the weirdo that I was will be thinking, Enoch just saying that these beats are great because he wants me to feel great. These beats aren't good. I'm not even a great beat maker. Stop beating me, man. But I'll just say, "Thanks, Enoch. Glad you liked it." Maybe I just love beating myself up. I later told a friend about my thoughts and he just laughed and said, "You're suffering from impostor syndrome." And I said, "Impostor syndrome? The freak is that?" And he explained to me. It turns out that my beats were actually better than I thought. I searched for ways to deal with impostor syndrome and I read tons of boring articles on the subject until I couldn't take it anymore. And since I was bored, I went to watch anime. Why? Because it's fun, of course. When I watched anime, I saw some characters that also had impostor syndrome and later conquered it, so I decided to learn from them and it freaking worked. Sayonara boring articles, it didn't change my life one bit. Here's what I learned from anime. I challenged and reframed my negative thoughts. I have no enemies. That statement was true for most of the day, but when 3 AM came around, I became my worst enemy. Thoughts would pop up in my head telling me, "You're trash, you're a failure, you're freaking terrible." And then my mind would start to play me a compilation of my most cringe and terrible memories to reinforce the made-up fact that I'm trash. Does it record those memories in HD? It sure did a good job of making me question myself a lot. That was the routine for a few years, but I watched Shogugeki no Soma and I saw Tadukuro Megumi going through it too. She used to think negatively about herself and her capabilities all the time, and she ended up failing in school and she was on the verge of being expelled. It all changed when she met Suma. When they became friends, she got a close-up view of his confidence and swagger, and she got influenced by it. After a while, she became more confident in herself and her abilities, and she started to think more positively. So when those 3 AM thoughts came up, I just think about the positive things I achieved during the day, and that clears the negativity most of the time. Sometimes they're really stubborn though, so if they don't want to go away, I just say this to myself in my mind. There's not much I can do about it at 3 AM, my dude. Now that was the first step I had to take and probably the most important, but after that, I had to challenge my self-doubt. Anytime anyone needed a volunteer for any activity at all, and they asked me, "Kauzura, would you like to do it?" I'd say no without a second thought. You see, I didn't want people to know that I was a fraud. I became allergic to volunteering. Now when I watched Megumi challenge her self-doubt to start believing in her abilities more, I started volunteering, even though it was scary at first. I braced myself for the negative reviews of my work, but the reactions were people telling me, "Kauzura, I didn't know you were this good. Where were you hiding all along? If you volunteered in the past, we would have been able to perform better then." The reactions were surprisingly positive and it went some way to making me think that I wasn't a fraud after all. Now that only worked sometimes, but the next trick I learned was overpowered, basically a cheat skill that did wonders for my confidence. I simply kept track of my accomplishments. Whenever I feel that I can't do anything these days and I'm doubting myself, I just tell myself, "Bro, you're the one that did that amazing thing. And don't forget that you're also the one that achieved that awesome feat," and then my doubts usually vanish. Reminding myself about how awesome I am gives me the confidence I need to complete the tasks that made me doubt myself, and confidence is one hell of a drug. You do everything better if you are confident in yourself. I mostly learned this from Shinomiya Kaguya. She has a long list of accomplishments in a lot of fields, and those accomplishments give her the confidence that she needed to get any task done with this. Now at this point I could feel my confidence building, but I made a mistake that nearly shattered my newfound self-confidence. I tried to be perfect. I volunteered to work on a file for an event, and when they asked if I could do it, I told them, "Piece of cake, it'll be easy, just leave it to me," and I got to work. I worked on this file for weeks and I always saw something that I could edit or change, and I kept on making corrections until I got sick of doing it. I started thinking, I told them that I'll do this easily, but I'm not sure if I'll finish at this rate. Maybe I'm a fraud after all. I took a break to play Football Manager, but when the game was loading, I decided to continue watching Shogugeki no Soma instead, and it was the best decision I made at the time. I watched Yukihira Soma cook and I noticed something about him. He never tried to prepare the perfect dish. His goal was always to make a dish that made customers say, "Delicious." That made me decide I've done the best I could do. When I showed the file to the organizers of the event, they were amazed and they said, "You didn't need to go so hard, man, this is freaking crazy," and I was relieved. Watching Soma also made me to accept my mistakes. Whenever I made a mistake in the past, I'll be so angry and I'll ask myself, why did I make such a mistake? But after I decided to stop pursuing perfection, I learned that mistakes are a part of being human. The only time I should get angry is if I don't learn from them. The background music was created by the same method. Bossa Nova is a genre that I'm not used to, so I made a lot of mistakes in the beginning. The beats that I made were terrible, but I love the genre so much. On my first attempt at making Bossa Nova, everything about the beat was so terrible, man. Remembering it is not a pleasant memory. I decided to work on polishing something new in every attempt. The first beat after that, I made the drums better. The next beat, I worked on the percussions. The next beat after, I worked on the bass patterns. And little by little, I got to the level that I am right now. I used my mistakes to get better, and I learned that by watching Soma. Soma failed a lot. After all, he lost his father almost 500 times, but he learned from every failure. He's one of the ultimate star losers in anime, and he won't be a great chef if he didn't fail that much. His mom taught him that mistakes are the mother of success, and he learned from it. And in turn, I learned from it. Now all that I learned previously would be useless if I didn't learn to stop comparing myself negatively to others. Now social media messed up my mental health in the past, especially Instagram. All the profiles I clicked showed that their owners are winning at life and doing great, while my life just sucked. I really hated my life at the time. Megumi was also guilty of doing this, and she ended up doubting herself since she was surrounded by some of the best chefs in the world. The moment she stopped comparing herself negatively to others and locked in, she unlocked her full potential as a chef, and she became one of the best chefs in the academy. She just focused on doing what she was good at, and I decided to do that too. I noticed that a lot of people post the highlights of their life on social media, and they hide the struggles, so I stopped comparing myself to someone's Instagram profile. I even deleted Instagram. I started to take care of myself by eating tasty food, getting enough sleep, hanging out with the boys and the girls, and enjoying life as much as I can. It made me happier. Another thing that made me feel great was celebrating the small wins. Going back to the bossa nova beat I mentioned earlier, bossa nova is a genre that combines samba, jazz, and lo-fi, and because it's such an unusual genre, there are no good tutorials of it on YouTube. I had to learn the hard way, from scratch, and it took me a long time to make stuff of this quality. Whenever I made progress, I made sure to celebrate it and reward myself because I deserve it. I'm the only one that knows how hard I worked. Now, Danodon isn't the anime I learned this from, but I like the anime so much, so I decided to sneak it in. Okarin, Momo, and the rest of the gang get together to celebrate every small win they achieved throughout the series. When they got one of Okarin's balls back, they celebrated. When they beat Turbo Granny, they celebrated. When they beat Silky and the Cerebral dudes, they also celebrated. They gathered to eat tasty food after a win, and when I copied them, it felt so good. Eating tasty food always feels good. So that's the way the anime taught me to get over imposter syndrome, and if you want to use these tips, just tweak them a bit to suit you. It isn't easy, but once you do this, you get the results. Remember that you're great at what you do. You're not a fraud. You just need unbiased feedback to know how great you are. And I'm always rooting for you, man. You've got this. As always, the names of the anime will be in the description, so try to watch them. They're really good. Thanks for watching. Please give me the positive interactions. You know, the likes, subscriptions, the good stuff. You can share this video to anyone who you think needs it, and you can also leave a comment. Let's have a discussion over there. Remember to eat tasty food, drink water, take care of yourself, and have fun. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace!